One is a Best Picture-winning dramatic tale with an adherence to on-the-water filming, the other a stretched-out epic in Hollywood fashion with Brando in all of his Technicolor glory. Mutiny on the Bounty, They Remade It.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of They Remade It. I'm your host, Stuart.
And I'm your host, Jacob.
I have somehow been battling some level of illness or another for the last, month, it feels like, so I don't know if I sound any different to anybody else, but it feels very different to me, so we're just going to roll with it. So
we're in that weird fluctuation time. I don't know how it is for you out there, but by me, the temperature is fluctuating wildly because it's still pretending to be the throes of summer, but technically we're in fall, so it's going pretty rapid. And I haven't been out and out sick, but it has been affecting me in ways that I'm not normally privy to. Like my allergies are acting up as if it was springtime, which is not the norm for me. And last week I had an inflamed lymph node under my chin, which I'd never had before. It was just a huge hard lump. And I was like, oh my God, is that like cancer? And they're like, no, there's like a bacterial infection or whatever. I'm like, I have never had this before. So things are just strange all around.
how about it? Well, I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been about the same here. There's been a few, I've also been traveling a bit. I had to go home for Labor Day, and that didn't help me any. But yeah, we're kind of just about into that period of time where in the mornings we have what's called false fall, where it's just like, oh, it's kind of cool. And then by the end of the day, it's like, oh, it's 90-5. That's great. So it's not the best when it comes to that. So I'm sure that hasn't done me any favors either. That, and I've done, yesterday, I think I did about 8 to 10 hours of yard work just to maintain it a little bit after all the overgrowth that's happened at this point. So I think that probably also affected the respiratory system, whatever crud I was breathing in.
Oh, yeah.
Just not like chemicals or anything, just pulling down enough branches, there's sure to be some sort of debris.
Yeah, you're kicking stuff up.
Yeah, for sure. So that's probably the majority of it at this point, but I think I'm mainly over it. So let's hope it doesn't kill me by the end of this episode.
Let's all pray.
Yay. But as we lead into that, what you've been watching, if there's been anything major on your docket?
Oh, not much. I have one thing to talk about. As in the previous episode on Cinderella, it's been a minute. I mentioned I was sort of in the throes of a move, and it's kind of full swing now. I'll probably be actively moving here in the next 2 weeks or so.
Congrats, by the way.
So thank you. So it's been a very busy time. I haven't had a chance to sit down and actively engage in anything. I've watched a couple things, but it's literally I'm barely processing it. It's just relaxing, whatever.
Here.
The one main thing that I did see, mainly because of its relation to the podcast, but I saw the new War of the Worlds that Prime put out.
There's a new War of the Worlds?
Yeah, the one with Ice Cube. Surely you've seen stills of this.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. So for those who are uninitiated or have barely seen screenshots of this, and it's like, oh, it's just like one of those online, like an unfriended type of thing where you're just staring at the camera. It is worse than you think it is. It is just that. It's people sitting around staring at screens for an hour and 40 minutes, basically, while the plot of War of the Worlds is kind of happening, but they're eating data. It's all about they're eating data, which is shutting down all of the technological systems. There's this point. I don't give a shit about spoiling this, by the way. It's an age-old story, cool. But also it's garbage. There's one. So Ice Cube has a dead wife and 2 kids that he's not very close to, and throughout the course of the movie, he grows closer to them and his daughter's fiance that he doesn't really care for. But there's a Facebook page for his dead wife that the kids and him put up that he will occasionally DM as like a coping mechanism. And as part of the aliens eating data, it shuts down the Facebook page and like erases all of the photos on it. And he acts like he's barely bothered. He like shakes his head at the screen. And it's like, he's not trying. And I mean, no one is. Probably because this was filmed during the height of COVID and took forever to come out. So there was a reason for it to be remote. And so it's like none of these people are acting against anybody. They probably don't have actual direction. It is so lame and lazy. And the hero of the movie, I shit you not, is Amazon delivery. Because his son, or not his son, his son-in-law, who is the fiance to his daughter, is an Amazon delivery driver. And near the end of the movie, they're like, "Oh, we got to give them a virus. We got to give the aliens a virus, a computer virus. But I can't get to the system. I need a USB, but I don't have a USB." So the son, who's an Amazon delivery driver, reminder, he's like, "I got you." And he takes out a drone, and he's like, "This is the future of delivery." And he takes a USB, and he pilots it. And, one of the aliens knocks it down, and there's a homeless man, a man unhoused on the street in, like, a box. And from the camera of the drone, the kid's like, hey, we need to save the world. Pick up the drone and get it flying again, and I will give you free Amazon deliveries for life. And it's supposed to be so heartwarming. I tell you, this is, like, abominable. I have not seen a movie that was so blatantly propaganda in a very long time. And, at least if it was propaganda that was made well, that would be something. But it's not. It is made poorly. No one cares to be in it. And it's bowing down to Amazon, which you are probably watching the movie on. Unless you're me and you found a different way. But yeah, that's...
a homeless guy free deliveries.
Not I know!
Free purchases, free deliveries.
I know. It's crazy. Oh, but
that's depressing.
Well, that's somehow that is literally the only thing of note that I've engaged with. So we can wash that taste out of our mouth if you want to talk about something else.
Thank fuck. Yeah. I haven't watched a ton, but I've watched a couple notable things. First off, Hannah and I have at least started to watch Twin Peaks.
Hooray!
We haven't gotten around to watching the second episode yet because shit's been kind of busy.
Oh.
So, like, we started watching it, like, right before I had to go on my trip, and then, like, a week before I had to go on my trip, and then that week was insanely busy for both of us. And so we've just been holding off. And now Hannah's gone again this weekend, so it's just been, like, one thing after another. So we hopefully will be able to continue that, maybe even tonight, so that'll be nice. Liking it so far. I think the vibes are really cool. Interested to see where the hell all this is going. Based on reputation alone, I don't know a lot about the plot, but I know a lot of the vibes. So I will need to see how I feel by the end of it. Kyle MacLachlan is fantastic and is playing what might be the most autistic man on the face of the earth. And I am happy to see where this is going. Yeah, no, it definitely feels Lynchian, but not quite in the most deep sense, but I'm sure it will get there.
Well, speaking of autistic, wait until David Lynch shows up in the show himself.
He's a character in the show?
Yeah, for quite a number of episodes. He like screams every line delivery like he's never heard it. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre role, but
okay, fair enough. Good for him. Yeah, I'll hopefully continue on with that here soon. The only other major thing I've watched is on my trip, I went with my parents to see the movie Caught Stealing. Side note, not the best one to do with parents because it's extremely violent and there's a sex scene like really early on, so it's a little awkward. But other than that, I liked it. It's kind of one of those like frenetic action movies, kind of in the vein of like Guy Ritchie movies before he started to suck. Kind of like gang violence thing of like, okay, guy gets caught up into a situation beyond his control, and it's just like at a certain point you kind of just feel bad for the guy. It's just like all this horrible shit happens to him for basically no reason. But yeah, it was pretty good. Not the most memorable thing in the world, but solid, summer movie. So can't really fault it for that.
That's so bizarre. Brand new Darren Aronofsky movie in 2025. Griffin Dunn is in the cast, and somehow I have not heard of this. I haven't even seen a trailer for it.
That's surprising. I haven't seen trailers for it all over the place.
Well, I guess I haven't
Yeah.
been in the theaters in like a month and a half. Maybe I would if I had gone to it,
Fair.
but I don't know.
Honestly, fair. Yeah, no, it's pretty solid. I think you'd like it. It's got Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio as very violent Hasidic Jews.
Okay. Oh my God. I remember. Okay, I have seen a trailer for it because I remember the final scene of the trailer is Austin Butler sat between them eating.
Oh yeah,
At
yeah.
I guess their mother's house, or one of their
Yeah.
mother's house. So, okay. Wow, this completely slipped my mind.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty solid. I think you'd like it.
Okay.
The only other thing of note I've been doing is Silksong. I've been playing Silksong. I will not be saying anything about it, but I just wanted to let people know that I am playing it because, dear God in heaven, I have wanted to play it. So
Thank you. I'm glad you're not talking about it because I've been avoiding everything I can. I own it and just have not gotten a chance to play it because things have been busy. So
that's fine. I
I'm
I
excited.
enjoy it. It's a bit of a different feel from Hollow Knight, and I'm totally fine with that. I've seen some people not being 100% with it, but I fully anticipated it not being just a 1-to-1 copy for Hollow Knight, so I'm honestly kind of cool with that.
Yeah, I've seen.
Once you do start playing it, I'll be happy to go more into my initial opinions, but I haven't been playing too far into it yet. So
Oh, sure. Yeah, when I actually get embroiled in it, we'll be sure to talk about it at length on the show, I'm sure, as big fans of Hollow Knight as we both
yeah.
are. The one thing that I have seen that I've been unable to avoid is that one of the big things that a lot of people are unhappy with is the pogo mechanic specifically. And I'm like, you know what? Say no more. I don't care. I want to experience it myself. I just know that that's been a sticking point for some people.
the only thing I'll say about that is that it's at least a little frustrating to start off with, but once you get used to the mechanics and there's certain ways to kind of make it a bit easier in some cases, once you get used to it, it's basically fine. It's not as easy as like in Hollow Knight, but again, a good comparison I've seen someone say is that the tutorial in Hollow Knight is a few opening screens. The tutorial to Silksong is the entirety of Hollow Knight.
Fair.
So yeah, it gets more advanced with the movement mechanics, and I don't think that's a bad thing. It's different, and it takes some getting used to, but I have been enjoying it.
All right. Fair enough. And I mean, to be fair, that's how a lot of games are. So
Yep, fair.
once you get adjusted to it. All right, cool.
So, yeah, I am loving that, and I'm sure you will at some point too.
Once I get all my shit set up at my house, yeah.
Yeah, no shit. Yep, that's pretty much all I got. I mean, like, you know, the only other thing taking up my time is we are still fostering it. We were taking care of and now actually fostering a cat that had gotten injured. And so now he's just chilling out in our office in the same room as me. Hi, buddy.
Have you named it?
His name's Wally.
Ah, got it.
Yep. He's a love. He just kind of cuddles up on your feet and stuff. So I'm like, dang it. I don't need another thing right now.
Well, good for it. It has found it's wormed its way into a house.
Yeah. He was not a smart cat being outside, but he is well adjusted to being an indoor cat. But he wants to be an outdoor cat, but he's bad at it. So left him alone for 2 weeks and he got his leg nearly fucking destroyed. So
Well, speaking
Yeah,
of
no.
people that have had their legs destroyed,
hey, surprisingly apt segue.
the surgeon of sorts. But yes, today we're hitting the high seas to talk about Mutiny on the Bounty. All right, starting out, we're going to talk about the plot to 1935's Mutiny on the Bounty, directed by Frank Lloyd and based on history. Well, more or less based on a series of novels that are based on the historical event, but we'll probably get into that at some point as well. In 1787, Captain William Bly, played by Charles Laughton, commands the Royal Naval merchant vessel HMS Bounty. Bly is a brutal tyrant who routinely administers harsh punishment to officers and crew alike who lack discipline, cause any infraction on board the ship, or defy his authority in any manner. After press-ganging a crew out of a local pub, the Bounty sets sail for Portsmouth on a 2-year voyage across the Pacific to transport breadfruit from the Polynesian islands to Jamaica. Fletcher Christian, the ship's executive officer played by Clark Gable, sans iconic mustache, is a formidable yet compassionate man who disapproves of Bly's treatment of the crew. Roger Byam, played by Franchot Tone, is an idealistic midshipman who is divided between his loyalty to Bly, owing to his family's naval tradition, and his friendship to Christian. During the voyage, the enmity between Christian and Bly grows after Christian openly challenges Bly's unjust practices aboard the ship. When the ship arrives at the island of Tahiti, where the crew acquires breadfruit plants to take to the West Indies, Bly punishes Christian by refusing to let him leave the ship during their stay. Byam, meanwhile, sets up residency on the island and lives with the island chief Hidi Hidi, played by William Bainbridge, that's aged well, and his daughter Tahani, played by Movita, and he compiles an English dictionary of the Tahitian language. Hidi Hidi persuades Bly to allow Christian a day pass on the island. Bly agrees, but quickly repeals the pass out of spite. Christian disregards the order and spends his day off the ship romancing a Tahitian girl, Maimiti, played by Mamo Clark. Christian promises her he will be back someday. After leaving Tahiti, the crew begins to talk of mutiny after Bly's harsh discipline leads to the death of the ship's beloved surgeon, Mr. Bacchus, played by Dudley Diggs, and Bly severely cuts water rationing to the crew in favor of providing more water for the breadfruit plants. Christian, although initially opposing the idea, decides he can no longer tolerate Bly's brutality when he witnesses crew members shackled in iron chains, and he approves the mutiny. The crew raids the weapons cabinet and seizes the ship. Bly and his loyalists are cast into a boat and set adrift at sea with a map and rations to ensure their survival. Due to Bly's steady leadership, they are able to find their way back to land. Meanwhile, Christian orders that the bounty return to Tahiti. Byam, who was in his cabin during the mutiny, disapproves of what Christian has done and decides the two can no longer be friends. Months later, Byam is married to Tahani, and Christian has married Maimiti and has a child with her, while the rest of the crew are enjoying their freedom on the island. After a long estrangement, Byam and Christian reconcile their friendship. However, when the British ship HMS Pandora is spotted approaching, Byam and Christian decide they must part ways. Byam and several crew members remain on the island for the ship to take them back to England, while Christian leads the remaining crew, his wife, and several Tahitian men and women back on board Bounty in search of a new island on which to seek refuge. Byam boards Pandora and, much to his surprise, discovers that Bly is the captain. Bly, who suspects that Byam was complicit in the mutiny, has him imprisoned for the remainder of the journey across the sea. Back in England, Byam was court-martialed and found guilty of mutiny. Before the court condemns him, Byam speaks of Bly's cruel, dehumanizing conduct aboard the Bounty. Due to the intervention of his friends Sir Joseph Banks and Lord Hood, Henry Stephenson and David Torrance respectively, Byam is pardoned by King George III and allowed to resume his naval career at sea. Meanwhile, Christian has found Pitcairn, an uninhabited yet sustainable island that he believes will provide adequate refuge from the reach of the Royal Navy. After Bounty crashes on the rocks, Christian orders her to be burned. And now we'll go into a bit on Mutiny on the Bounty 1962, directed by Louis Milestone. As to be expected, given that this is based on a series of books that themselves are based on historical accounts, there isn't much difference to be stated here with the plots, aside from minor differences in expanded scenes. I will say, the main difference is the ending. We never see Bly's pursuit of the men that caused the mutiny, and Christian is killed after his newly appointed shipmates burn the Bounty in fear that he'll force them all back to England. So the end scene is his death with a sort of deathbed monologue to the audience. We'll surely touch on that and other differences, as well as probably pointing out historical inaccuracies if we think that's even necessary to do later. Okay, but for now... For now, we'll go into the cast of the 1962 film. We have Trevor Howard as Captain William Bly, Marlon Brando as Lieutenant Fletcher Christian, Richard Harris as Seaman John Mills, Hugh Griffith as Alexander Smith, Richard Hayden as William Brown, Alan Callow as Thomas Hayward, Keith McConnell as James Morrison, Noel Purcell as William McCoy, Matahari Tama as Chief Hidi Hidi, Frank Silvera as Minari, and Tarita as Maimiti. And there you go. Mutinies on the Bounties.
That's fun.
Both of them, but we're not done yet. I have a couple of full circles that I need to divulge to you.
Fantastic.
So first up, we have a single one of note for 1935s, and that is Dudley Diggs, who was the surgeon, Mr. Bacchus, on the 35 Mutiny on the Bounty. He was Caspar Gutman in the 1931 Maltese Falcon, which would later be played by Sidney Greenstreet. And he was also the chief detective in 1933's The Invisible Man. Now, on to 62. We have 3 here. It's very brief today, thankfully. But first up, the big one, the big daddy-o of them all, Marlon Brando, who was Fletcher Christian in 1962's Mutiny on the Bounty. We've also seen him as done Vito Corleone in The Godfather and possibly The Godfather Part 2. I think there's a flashback or two in there, but I can't remember. Primarily The Godfather. And he was also Dr. Moreau in 96's The Island of Dr. Moreau. Richard Hayden was William Brown in Mutiny on the Bounty. He was Gerard Falkstein in Young Frankenstein, the Mel Brooks classic, and he was the voice of the hookah-smoking caterpillar in 1951's Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, yeah.
And, so long as we're on Disney talk right now, finally we have Ben Wright, who was Graves in Mutiny on the Bounty. He was the voice of Roger Radcliffe in 101 Dalmatians. He played a wolf in The Jungle Book, and he was Grimsby in The Little Mermaid. And that's it for Full Circle.
Well, fan-diddly-tastic. I don't know why I decided to say that, but, it's my brain's not where it used to be.
Yeah, you Flanderized yourself.
Oh, God. Well, I'll pivot off from that. To start off, this is an interesting one for me for two reasons. One, I have previously on my own watched a separate movie about the bounty, simply called The Bounty, that being a film with Mel Gibson and Anthony Hopkins in the lead roles of Fletcher Christian and Captain Bligh, respectively. So a little confusing going into this with that knowledge, but not too bad. Additionally, also, is that the fact that I'm actually fairly familiar with this subject on its own, because the Mutiny on the Bounty is a famously well-documented incident in maritime history. The simple fact of they kept so much of it well documented when it was happening. That and just the interesting history of Pitcairn Island and the descendants of the mutineers and everything just makes it for a very ripe subject. That is going to mean that I have a few qualms with some of the historical accuracies, more specifically in the 62 version, and not least of which for the fact that some of the casting choices in the 35 one, as you briefly brought up with William Bainbridge, not the best situation with that, but
Yeah, it's 35. What are you going to do? And I mean, 62 was guilty of it too with Frank Silvera, because in 35, it was like, whatever, we have white people and we'll put makeup on them. But the 50s and the 60s were a time where it was like, Italians can be Native Americans, right? And other indigenous folks. It's like, okay, by that time, we should have been like, known a little bit.
Nah.
But whatever.
That one was rough.
Yeah.
In fairness of the Bounty movie that I watched, they actually did have indigenous peoples for those roles. It, is kind of negated out by the fact that the main role was Mel Gibson, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was like, 85, 86? So before
like
Gibson was truly off his rocker.
Yeah.
Or before we at least
hindsight.
knew about it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that I'm more willing to... I don't know about the history of the bounty as much as you do, but I do have some knowledge of the facts and where things differ just from general research. I'm more willing to overlook that of the 35 version as it's attempting to tell a specific rendition of the story while also fighting the perils of early movie making.
Yes,
at that time,
sure.
the studios and the actual sets themselves, which most of these were filmed in the actual ocean in just various ports and bays. So lots going on in 35. 62, however, we've been doing movies for a while, and they turned this one into an epic that they felt was worthy of an intermission. They had plenty of time to work with that they chose not to.
Yeah, they're just like... It kind of makes you realize, wow, life on the sea must have been dull as all hell if this is what even just this length of movie feels like. God, yeah, that one was a drag. But I'll get into that more. But at least on the subject of historical accuracy, I'm actually going to give pretty full credit to the 35 one because it honestly gets it mostly right. The only major thing is the Roger Byam character has a lot more presence than I would have expected. And I think he's meant to more be kind of a stand-in for the audience. As far as the accuracy of his exoneration and the court-martialing, I believe that's fairly accurate, but I think there's maybe some mixed signals in it. But beyond that, it's honestly kind of there. Bly definitely wasn't the captain of the Pandora. I'm almost certain. But the Pandora did pursue them. But
it's more narratively interesting to have the antagonist.
Correct, yeah. It made it for a good through line, especially for Byam's character whenever he got on board. So yeah, I gotta give it pretty solid credit there. The 62 one, meanwhile, again, mainly fine. I think it paints Bly as just a bit too cartoonish at times, even compared to the 35 one at sometimes, but that may have just been like just exhaustion by the end of the film for me.
No,
But
you're dead on. If you look at my letterbox reviews for this, comparing the two Blys, it's like I think even though he's a more reserved person in the 62, he is a cartoonish supervillain, are the words that I wrote.
oh my god,
you are
yeah.
on the money.
Yeah, and just like historically speaking, yeah, Bly wasn't a great guy, but also he was kind of under rough circumstances. Like the size of the bounty was a very small ship, so he was effectively alone as far as high-ranking officers go. There's normally supposed to be someone immediately under him, even of higher rank than Fletcher. Um, but that kind of just pushed him to a straining point. And like, yeah, he wasn't great to the crew, but given the circumstances, it wasn't amazing to deal with. So like, fine, whatever. But as far as a few various things, I don't think there was actually a keel hauling incident on the bounty in the, like, as shown in the 62 one, because that's a pretty brutal death method.
Well, it was
Even
widely
by
regarded as outlawed by that time, anyways. Like Bly is a character that sticks to the books. That wasn't in the books,
yeah,
at least
no,
not then.
like that's considered pretty brutal treatment by pirate standards. Even you're telling me a
Yeah.
Royal Naval captain pulled that off? No, get the hell out of here. But the biggest part for me is definitely the ending, for the simple fact of like how they decided to portray Christian's death. For the simple fact of, one, in reality, he did not say, hey, we need to go back and face our consequences. That man stayed there on that dang island and had kids, and there are still blue-eyed children on that children to this day. And two, his specific death of like, oh, he was killed and the ship was set on fire. He ordered the ship being burned. Three, I'm fairly certain there's mixed reports of his death, but I'm not uncertain that his death was actually the result of the Tahitian men that they effectively kidnapped to bring to the island. The mutineers ended up treating them like slaves, and they eventually rose up and murdered Christian in his sleep.
A
So
mutiny of mutineers. you
honestly,
say.
yeah, it's hilarious. So yeah, and again, there's mixed results on that one. He may have just died of illness, and the uprising thing may have been downplayed, but who knows? Yeah, as it is, it was not the grand heroic die in my meaty's arms bullshit that happened in the 62 one. I saw that happen. I was like, get the hell out of here, man. Come on.
To be honest, for a narrative structure, I'm completely fine with twisting history if you want to kill Christian at the end of 62. It's just
Yeah.
the way they did it was very on the nose. And again, that speech he gives is wholly unnecessary, where he's like, you couldn't have trusted me as men, and then he forgives them. It's like, oh, Bly made us all animal. It's very close to like, who are the real savages here? Okay, come on, guy. Just killing him off on its own, whatever. It's been almost 3 hours, and having the protagonist die at the end for an epic is not unheard of. So I can accept that, but the way they did it was very stock and lazy. So
My God.
big thumbs down for me.
Yeah, it's you gotta end a movie on a good note. I think the 35 one ended fine. I'm surprised they didn't focus more on the mutineers like legacy than they did. They they touch on it a little, but that kind of seems to always end up being like one of the biggest subjects relating to this whole incident. But I think having, Byam, being released and everything is a solid enough ending.
Yeah.
But God, just having just such a, like you said, lazy way to end it in the other one in 62, which is like, why the big grandiose bullshit thing? I don't know. It's just annoying.
Yeah. It's the other interesting thing is the hearing that's had, the court martialing that they have between the different versions, because for a movie as long as 62, it's really truncated. In that version, there's not a lot that actually goes on, primarily for the fact that we don't get to see a lot of the capturing of the men and, the interrogate. It's much more reduced compared to 35. And 35, I think, for the trial at least, is more narratively satisfying. And the way it ends, where he's not, Bly is not dressed down as a naval captain at all. He's like, you're a great captain. You know a lot about the sea, whatever.
Which is
But he won't.
Like that basically happened. Like the Admiralty basically gave him a slap on the wrist, and that was it.
Yeah, but what I really like about that is after all that, he doesn't outright say it, but he won't like shake his hand or anything. The implication is, I don't care for you as a human being. But he doesn't outright say it. Whereas in 62, it's like, not everything can be traced by law books. You must be kind to your fellow man, or whatever the hell they say. And he's like, that's why we usually go to the aristocracy for promotions. And your promotion was a failure on our part. It's just stated instead of showing it. I like that it's shown in 35 through the actions of that that chair member, that naval officer.
Honestly, I love kind of this, like a lot of the subtleties that go on in the 35 one. Like again, like what happens? Like it's like you said, it's a 1935 movie. Only so much of it can be subtle, but like that alone, just the humanity between all the characters is honestly kind of what pulls it through. At least for me. Meanwhile, just like seeing Brando strut his stuff in the whole of the 62 one, at a certain point I'm just like when I first started watching it, I was like, oh yeah, that is Brando. And it took me a minute to really get there, because like we were riffing on it before we started recording, where this is prior to him getting kind of weird, at least too weird. And so seeing him strut around in all his glory, I was like, oh yeah, that is the guy. But by the end of it, I was just kind of sick of him, especially with the very end with the whole speech, like, which I've already gone on about. But I was just kind of like, God, this guy doesn't feel like he feels like he is being a character by the end. It doesn't feel like he is this person. He just feels like he's doing a character. And there is no greater damnation for a performance than realizing that. And yeah.
For me, with the exception of the ending of 62, again, we've gone over it. With the exception of that, this might actually be my favorite Brando performance that I've seen. And not even specifically because it hits on the head of who I think Fletcher Christian should be, but we've talked about it before, especially in the Dr. Moreau episode. I've seen my fair share of Brando performances, Streetcar and On the Waterfront, Godfather, of course, but even when he's in movies that I think are really great, like On the Waterfront, he's not usually something that I single out. So this might be my favorite performance of something I've seen him in, because at least I feel like he does kind of blend into the movie itself. He's not domineering it in a way, even though he is like the main character. Sure. And I think that is a benefit, even though if it's not like he's acting any differently than he did in Streetcar. He's putting on an affectation for this character, but I mean, the meat of the performance is still pretty stock standard. But I don't know, chalk that up to good cinematography or good editing that I'm like, wow, this might be my favorite Brando.
Yeah, I will say, I think the quality of the entirety of like the scene building, I think adds to a lot, because I will give 62 this, because like you said, the difficulty of filming in 35 meant that, there's some holes. But it does feel like we are genuinely just looking at a, like earlier century naval, like British naval vessel when we're watching in 62. It feels about as real to life as it could be. Like even among more modern films, even The Bounty, like the one I watched, even it kind of seemed like it felt at times like it was almost a Disney set. This one really did just feel like, oh no, we are actually on a ship. Like this is actually watching interactions on a British naval vessel. And I think that adds to it. For as much as I wasn't a huge fan of his performance by the end, I will say, yeah, I do agree. He does blend into it in a way that does feel more satisfying than most performances.
Yeah, I especially like the dressing down that he gives his 3 appointed naval officers after the movie has taken place. I do think that is a really good scene, just in and of itself. He's like, "You think we won, did you?" Which, I mean, in and of itself is also pretty hackneyed of a monologue, but I did dig that. There are plenty of parts and pieces of 62 that I enjoy. It's just I don't think it ever meshes well together. I mean, it's beautiful too. It's an epic, and like you were saying with the ship, it looks competently made, and there was a lot of money poured into this, and they shot on location in Tahiti multiple times, and you can tell it's a gorgeous movie. Yeah,
there is a quality of production here that is at odds with its overall messaging that's kind of hard to ignore. Meanwhile, 35 kind of got it done by the skin of their teeth, and it's like, oh yeah, no, this at times feels more epic than the epic, It feels like a daring adventure at seas of men versus insane odds. Meanwhile, I'm just kind of like, man, I sure know where all of this is going by the end of the end of 62, where I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah, okay, it's like, man, who is men and who is monster, yada yada.
And I tell you that in 35, the palpable tension that I felt as he was climbing the mast in the rain is
Oh my
not
god,
something
yeah.
that was doubled in 62. 35
No.
is way more tense. Even though the Bligh in 62, Trevor Howard, he's like way more evil. he'll just like actually kill people and not care.
Yeah.
Bligh in 35, you can feel the human portion of him just as well as everything else. He wants to be included in a way, but he knows he has a job to do. And that just makes a lot of the scenes all that more tense because I'm like, not only do I fear for the lives, but part of me is fearing for the emotions of Bligh when he realizes what he's done, which doesn't ever truly come to pass, which is stock for most adaptations of this tale. But holy shit, man.
Yeah, it's God, I kind of just want to gush about the Bly performance in 35. Yeah, like I fully get what you mean of right doing a villain well is such an insanely hard thing, and it becomes even harder when it's based off of a real person. Like William Bly historically speaking, the actual William Bly probably was closer to cartoonishly evil at times. I mean, he was a privileged captain of the British Navy, but he was, like you said, still human and still dealing with some bullshit odds. And God, does it come across in 35. Like, it just truly, every time he's on screen, I'm just like, I hate his guts, but I can't hate him for any sort of, like, petty reason. I get what he's doing, and I get why he's doing it. I just don't approve. And that is what makes a good villain. It's not that you just want to hate him. It's the fact that you get it, and you still don't like him.
Yes. Laughton?
Like,
oh, man.
Ugh. God, he's so good in this. Like, he kind of carries the whole thing. I kind of forget about Gable sometimes.
Dude, he completely drowns out Gable. He is like the star of the show is Laughton. And it's bullshit that he did not get best actor for this at the Academy Awards. Because I really think he should have. That being said, if I'm being fair, the person who won, Victor McLachlan, for The Informer, I've never seen that movie. He could be great in it, but the fact that Laughton was nominated and didn't get it, I'm like, fuck. And Gable and Franchot Tone for Christian and Byam, they were both nominated for Best Actor too. Like Mutiny on the Bounty was full across the board with nominations, and somehow it didn't get it.
Yeah, well, I feel like I've seen The Informer. It's been a while, but that's a good one. So like if they did win the award for that one, I'm sure it was deserved. But yeah, no, this is like I have such a soft spot for naval movies and like people who can do a good captain performance, and it's especially rare to see one where it's a villain. And this is about as good as it'll ever get. I think like because the responsibility and the authority that comes with captainship is, tantamount to being the governor of a state, essentially, and you're all alone on the ocean for months or years at a time. To be able to portray that realistically, and less even realistically, but believably, is some of the hardest shit in the world. And the fact that he kind of does it seems like without even trying, I'm just like, God, what the, who is, like, how do you do this, man?
It's astounding.
Meanwhile, there's Captain Hook in 62.
Yeah.
God.
The interesting thing about 62 is the fact that they're, in a way, for the first little portion of the movie, Sir Richard Harris is what's the character? He's the botanist. Mills. Yeah, he plays
Mills. Yeah,
he plays John Mills, and the movie is almost painting Harris to be the main character and how things are going to be through his eyes, the lenses of his eyes. And I think that would have been more interesting, especially because I think Harris might be the best actor in this movie. I mean, he had plenty of accolades, obviously, and then died being Albus Dumbledore, which is upsetting. But yeah, but he's great in the movie. He just doesn't get a lot to do, and the only reason that's confusing is because he is third bill due to his prestige, and the movie, it sets it up like it's going to be the Richard Harris story. Did you find that odd at all? I mean, you know the story, so obviously not.
Right. I would have liked if they had focused more on him as kind of just a difference in portraying the story, because every story about the bounty, it focuses on Christian and Bly. Like that's the obvious one.
Sure.
That's where that is the single biggest point of contention in the entire thing. Um, and it's just, yeah, I don't even know if that's even necessarily what I would have wanted out of this, because I do agree. I think that would have made for a more interesting take on this, and at the very least, as a stand-in for the audience, I think it may have been nicer to have it be an emotional story from the outside of that relationship between Christian and Bly. I think that may have portrayed the stress of the situation even better, of being a secondhand, basically just, go along as things are unraveling on the ship. But I don't know. It is weird that they started. It seemed like they were setting that up, and then it just kind of didn't happen. And I feel like they may have just been like spinning too many plates at once whenever they were building this, with how long of a film it is. I wouldn't be surprised if that was just something kind of like, it may not have even been intentional what they were doing. They may have just wanted to be like, oh, here's an extra character here to kind of just establish this as a more fleshed out cast. But I do get what you mean, that, yeah, it does seem like it's kind of leaning towards him at first. But then again, like when you have with Brando alongside there, I kind of knew full well that he wasn't going to be the focus.
Yeah, Brando's got to be the focus. That's,
I mean, obviously. And then again, Captain Hook.
yeah. His portray, and he is so weird because I don't even think Trevor Howard is necessarily bad, and he has the presentation and the authority down. He which is why I had said in my reviews, he comes across just in his how he presents himself as so much more put together and austere than the Charles Laughton Bly in 35, which makes it all the more a failure that he seems more like a cartoon than the Laughton in 35. It's like two different ideals butting up against each other that I don't think work for this guy.
If this had not been based on a historical tale, I might have taken it at face value. I might have been able to be like, okay, this is a cold, messed up guy running this ship and doing horrible things to make things work. It's like the main villain in The Patriot, which, another Mel Gibson movie.
Yeah.
Talking about like the Patriot being believable is like a sin, but it's kind of in the idea of, if we're going to do this with such a wildly evil character, you can't be claiming that it's truly historic. You have to have a certain amount of leeway to say, okay, this is our own tale based off of a combination of tales at the same time period, and then we can just kind of do what we want. But because this is sticking so 100% to the actual historical events, it means it butts up against not only reality, but also believability. It's, if they had gone into this being like, hey, this is a story about a bad time on a boat, I would have been like, okay, yeah, I can believe this character. But instead they went, hey, this is based off stuff that actually happens. I'm like, no, this isn't how a human being would act. I don't care how much of a dickhead he is. My God.
The really troubling thing is that 62 butts up against almost having the humanizing aspect that 35 does, but it never goes the full Monty. I mean,
No.
you get those early visions of it when he's introduced to the young women before they take off from the port, and they're praising him, and he's like, "Oh, don't praise me yet. This is my first voyage as captain." There's clearly a little bit of nerves there that you can see. He wants to know what people are laughing about. You could tell that it's not just about order, but there's a level of self-consciousness there when he's doing the dance at the party on the island at the chief's request. Like there are moments that they could delve into a little deeper to make this guy a person, but then they just fall back on like the borderline torture porn of it all.
Anytime he's actually on the ship, he becomes like a different character, which again, that would have been an interesting thing to maybe delve into, of like what authority does to a man or something like that. But I like thinking back on it. Yeah, I fully get what you mean, where it seemed like, yeah, actually they were starting to go somewhere with it, but then, I mean, even just the scene where Christian's giving the one guy water and he just walks up to him and just kicks it out of his hand. It's like, God, for God's sake. Like, this is, I want this to be a tense, like, notable scene, but I just can't take it seriously.
Yeah, that's like
I
mental.
know that this is, yeah, like this is almost certainly based on actual events that happened, because like, yeah, like the whole thing of them bringing extra breadfruits along to make up for the delay and cutting men's water rations, yeah, that's 100% what happened. But the way they're portraying it is just like ridiculous.
It's like, I'm going to put this way up here and you're going to have to climb it and get it out. And if you fall and die, it's on you.
Yeah. Like, come on.
I could never see that happening in an official capacity.
I'm almost certain it didn't. It's one of those things of like, it seems like one of those ridiculous items that if it did actually happen in reality, I wouldn't be too surprised. But if it didn't actually happen and they decided to put it in the movie, then that's stupid. Like that is a stupid thing. You decided to make this guy more evil. If it actually happened and you put it in, that's like, all right, cool. That guy just was like that.
I feel like it had to have been made up, even if it was taken from, and if it was taken from the book material that was written about this, like real records. I think someone might have been lying. That's the other thing too. Obviously, most of the history of the mutiny that occurred is true. I'm not stating that, but you also have to realize that, as with most history, there are specific stories coming from specific individuals, and there are always going to be certain things that don't mesh. So either that's a fabrication, or I think someone was stretching the truth a little bit. I can't see any actual human being doing this.
Yeah. I feel like if this had been a thing that happened, they should have maybe downplayed it just a little bit. Like maybe he just like hung it off the side of the boat and someone had to get it, or like didn't put it as high or something. Like just make it seem like he's more petty rather than just like a evil bastard, you know?
Yeah.
Like I could see that happening, of them being like, okay, you want it, go get it kind of thing. Of just like, okay, we'll just hang it off the side of one of the lower cross beams. You know, that'd be interesting, and also like not lethal, you know?
Yeah.
That's something I could see a British captain doing, of like, okay, we'll do this like men. So it's, I don't know. It's just weird. The whole performance just feels weird. Like it feels like it was at odds with so many things at once that I'm just like, what were they planning on with this?
Yeah. And I mean, just not to keep going back to it, but the strange ending of 62, not even the fact that Fletcher Christian dies, but the fact that they're basically not adapting 66% of the source material, because it's like, well, this is where the story ends. There's nothing else to tell. There was no like active pursuit, or if there was, we don't get to see it. It's very strange, because again, it's 3 hours. We've discussed some long movies on this, and this is by no means the longest that we've talked about. I'm well aware of that. But we have only done 2 movies on this show that felt they warranted an intermission. Mad World and this.
Yeah. And Mad World actually had enough going on that it made sense. In this one, it's pretty much from beginning to end a pretty straightforward story. It's a story that was told very succinctly in the 35 one.
Yeah.
And I just don't, I feel like, like you said, the ending is so absurdly chosen for the simple fact of like, the descendants of the mutineers are alive on Pitcairn Island to this day. There was a lot that happened after they landed there. Even if you just went off of like verbal oral histories from the people of like the time afterwards, you could get enough material to be like, okay, they landed, they burned the boat, and then there was some tension later because of like, they obviously did have some issues by the time they got there. That's worthy of going into. That's worthy of maybe having another 20 to 30 minutes to go, okay, maybe these guys aren't so great after all. Because even in historically speaking, they did straight kidnap a bunch of the Tahitian men. Like the wives and everything they took, they were effectively of their own doing, but the Tahitian men didn't know what was going on. It's like, maybe bring that fact up, of that these guys were essentially like de facto slavers, and that based on a couple oral histories, probably got what was coming to them. Like, that's a good thing to bring up in the end of, oh, are we truly the monsters? Yeah, you kind of became monsters by the end. That's something we should maybe chat about.
Some of you are literally criminals.
Yeah.
Like prior to any of this.
Yeah, like y'all got press ganged into this shit and everything. Like even outside the mutiny, like you guys did bad shit.
Yeah.
That's something worth talking about. Why do we have to end on this stupid trying to make a moralistic ending out of it? Like, make it realistic, make it interesting. If we're going to be an epic, make it epic. It's just so weird. It leaves such a bad taste in your mouth after all of that.
Yeah.
We couldn't have Brando end as a fucking, like, mixed character. Not until the fucking Godfather, at least.
Yeah. I will say that the mixed relationships are interesting. Obviously, it's based on historical fact, But still, especially for 35, just the portrayal of it is interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe they felt they had to adhere that strongly to the source material because of how early in the life cycle of cinema this was, but I would have almost expected them to change part of that. I don't know.
I'm sure parts of it, like, because they don't, excuse me, they don't go into some of the detailing in the end. Like, they don't get into the specific, and like a lot of the specifics of like the kidnapping, especially, and they also don't touch on like the whole thing of. Unless it's been a second since I've seen the movie, do they have the whole scene where they get delayed going around Cape Horn in the 35 one, or is that just the 62 one?
That's just 62. I don't recall.
Okay, because that is 100% what happened. They did Bligh tried to take him around Cape Horn, and they got turned back, and so to make up for the time loss, he did bring on more breadfruits, and that's why the water rations got cut. Like, that is something they decided to cut from it, which I can see why. Maybe because that does go into a bit more. One, it's the practicality of shooting a scene of them getting caught up in a storm around Cape Horn, and two, of just kind of the harshness that comes as a result of that. And so I can see the complexity of that being nixed for valid reasons.
Yeah, but they had some great storm sequencing when they're on the raft.
That's fair. That is fair. I think it's just like whenever, because they'd have to bring the whole ship into account for that one.
Sure.
So I can see that, at least. And it kind of seems like just the messaging they're trying to do. Because the story of the bounty itself, seems like something interesting enough that sticking to the source material is actually probably the better call. Like, trying to change too much of it without outside of just like I said, just nixing certain parts of the story, it would just do a disservice to the whole tale.
No, for sure. My main point was I found it a bit surprising that the mixed relationships stuff specifically was not changed for 35.
Yeah, for sure. I get what you mean there. Yeah, it's neither of these are perfect, I should say. At times the 35 one I still was kind of like, man, I kind of still prefer the Mel Gibson one, strangely enough. But 35 does just kind of nail it for me in enough ways that I'm just like, yeah, no, this is cool. This is a fantastic like maritime film. And I want to respect how much the 62 one was doing. Again, how beautiful it was, how well realized so many of the scenes and the set and the casting and everything was. Yeah, even just the costuming is pretty dead on. And the believability of watching them being on that ship is like, yeah, the whole time I could see it. It's just at a certain point, I'm like, why is this nearly 3 hours?
This is unnecessary.
I don't need to feel like I'm on a naval journey for months on end. Let's just have a fun story.
I looked up the bounty, which I was off by a couple years. It was 84 is when the bounty came out.
Oh yeah.
It's 130 minutes, so it's also shorter than 62.
Yeah. And a lot of that's probably credits. So it's probably like all told, like from first spoken line to the beginning of credits, it's probably right at around 2 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't see why they felt the need to do this. The story of the bounty isn't that complicated.
Yeah.
It's
really not.
We go to a place to get some fruits. The captain's an asshole. Then the crew mutinies. And then they have kids on a fucking like foreign island. Bing bang boom, we're done.
Yeah. Just keep it to that and it'll go really quickly. There's the first adaptation of Mutiny on the Bounty came out like 2 or 3 years before the 35 one with Errol Flynn as Fletcher Christian.
Oh, yeah.
That was like an hour. Like it's like, yeah, get in, get out. Come on.
It's not that hard. Like, I don't know. It seems like they could have done this with any other story. Like if they had done this with a different maritime tale, or maybe like done a mythological thing. Hell, maybe what if they just done the Odyssey? Like that would have been interesting. Or just done something during the Napoleonic period. God knows there was so much going on. Hell, they could have just done Master and Commander. Like they would eventually someone else would do it later, but still. If we want to make a full epic, my God, Master and Commander is the way to go. It's such a detailed piece of historical fiction.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I've sort of summarized my thoughts, and I believe you have as well. 35 yay and 62 nay. And both of them are kind of creaky-handed, but still.
Yeah. It's a tepid yes and a tepid no, respectively. It's neither one of them set the world on fire for good or for bad, but neither one of them, did anything especially offensive either. Some of the casting notwithstanding.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, if we're talking about William Bly specifically, Trevor Howard is creaky hand yay. Charles Laughton, enthusiastic yay from me.
Absolutely, yes. And Brando, kind of just middle of the road for me.
He's fine. He blends well in.
Yeah. And Gable, kind of same. Playing that character is kind of a bit of a white bread sort of situation. So
yeah,
if they had portrayed him as more of a bastard that he probably almost certainly was, I think it would have been more of an interesting performance. But they kind of have to make him the emotional core of the film. So, well, I do have a question for you. This time around.
Hit me.
My question is going to be, if you had the opportunity to have, like, in the vein of this being a historical film, are there any niche or otherwise untapped events in history that you wish had been put to film?
Oh, interesting.
Me personally, okay. I can go and give my answer if you want a second. Yeah. Me personally, I would love to see the South Sea Bubble, which was a specific period in sometime in the mid 1700s, I believe. Oh wait, no, not 1700s. Earlier, like I believe, like in the early 1500s. It was basically just a banking scheme being pulled off in England, of where people were basically saying, "Oh, we're selling stock in a company that sells, that's a trading company in the South Sea of South America," but in reality, they were just trading government debt out. And it got to the point where this one company was basically worth a quarter of the entire British economy. It got ridiculous. And it's just this period of economic history that's just so full of reasons why we now have like regulations on things. It's so ridiculous whenever you look into it. It just kind of feels like a cartoon of just like how stupid people are and like how many ridiculous things people are willing to do if it makes them even a modicum of money. And how in the end it nearly took down the entire British government and would eventually lead to the establishment of the very first prime minister. So it's a hell of a tale.
That sounds great. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I love that sort of thing. It was basically The Big Short of its day.
Yeah.
Honestly, not even that inaccurate. It's just if the main characters were all blatant criminals.
Everyone's a criminal. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like it's so insane.
I don't recall the details of it. Maybe you do. You're more history savvy.
Potentially.
But the Italian Bucket War.
Oh, yeah. It rings a bell. It's not one of the deeper subject I know, but I know of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, for the audience, Italy was subdivided into a bunch of smaller, like city states almost. There was a holy war going on, just tensions at the time, so not all the city states were agreeing. Soldiers from one snuck into another and stole a bucket off of one of their walls. They saw that as offensive. They started mobilizing troops. They started burning cities, all because a bucket got stolen. And I think that would be very interesting to see on the big screen.
The Italian city states are kind of rife with ridiculous shit like that could very easily be turned into films. Like it's just the relationship between Italian city states was almost cartoonish at a certain point, because it's just like no one has an actual proper standing army. Everyone just hires mercenaries, and so all the time it's just like, I'm going to send these guys to attack you. Well, I'm going to pay them more, so now they're attacking you, and then that goes back and forth like 5 times. So it's just like one mercenary band getting tossed between city states for like a year.
We could make an anthology. Is what we'll
honestly
do.
Yeah, pretty much. Or like the classic one is also the Emu War in Australia.
Yeah, that's probably the infamous one. Well, they did make a movie out of that, and
oh my god, they did.
It was terrible.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind then. That one's already been touched.
Well, it got so memey that now everyone knows about it because it is infamous now. It's no longer niche. So Hollywood was like, we got to do it.
Bear.
Yeah.
God. It's like hell of a comparison to make, but it's accurate.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm trying to think if there's any other periods of history, because like There are so many moments in history that are equal parts dramatic and horrifying, but also completely hilarious in how stupid they are. Even just like maybe like the day or two leading up to like D-Day, where it's just like insane, like subterfuge plots by the British government and that sort of thing. Like I don't know, the Japanese uprising before World War II. It's God, history is full of the wackiest shit, man. It's so weird.
Yeah. Well, the world
I
is
love it so
huge,
much.
and
Yeah,
a lot of it's undocumented.
the world is huge. There are two great constants when looking at history. People have always been smart, and people have always been stupid. It's no greater constant will ever exist in history than that. It's like people will always do insanely brilliant and incredible things, and people do incredibly petty, stupid, and unreasonable things, and often at the same time.
Yeah. Well, speaking of people being stupid, do you want me to go into socials?
Hell yeah.
Oh, go ahead and subscribe, follow, favorite, and listen to our podcast on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. We're on the likes of Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Podbay, Podmatic, Stitcher, YouTube, and we are hosted by Spotify for podcasters. Go ahead and send us an email, theyremadeit@gmail.com, with thoughts about the show, what you like, what you don't like, episodes that you may want us to do in the future. We're always listening for those. We just did one with Cinderella as our last episode that released. Or if you just want to say hi, we're always willing to say hi. And
hello.
Yeah, we're saying it now. Oh, we can't do that. We can't give it away for
free. No, I take it back.
Our paid email account that charges your PayPal every time you send an email. And go ahead and follow us, Blue Sky, theyremadeit.bluesky.social for updates on when episodes are going live, posters and promo art and things for what we've been watching, playing, engaging with in between episode records, movies that we could potentially cover in the future. There's been a lot going on this year that I plan to take full advantage of in the near future, and full circle videos that I put together regarding folks that we've covered on the podcast more than once. And that is it for socials.
There's a fair bit coming out. I just got reminded, like, I got told that the movie Roses is apparently a remake of the movie War of the Roses.
Oh yeah, the Danny DeVito movie. It's on my list.
Yeah, I fully didn't even realize that's I need to see that before it leaves theaters. I think it's out now.
It's been out for a couple weeks. Yeah, it's probably going to be gone soon.
Honestly, yeah. I'll need. Well, I'll find it where I can. But
yep.
That's God, there's gonna be, and oh my God, and I saw I meant to say when I went to see Caught Stealing, there was at least a very brief trailer. There's gonna be another Nuremberg movie, so that's another remake.
What? Okay, I did not see that one, but yeah, I'll mark it. I'll mark everything.
It seems like it might be slightly lower budget, so that one might be kind of fun. But then again, the original one wasn't like top of the world or anything, so
right.
It was more of a miniseries.
Oh well, we're giving away all the company secrets here.
Yeah. Well, you guys don't know when.
It's a surprise.
It's even for us. No greater surprise than when the people doing it don't even know what's happening. No. My throat's about to give out, so I'll go ahead and say that I'm your host, Stuart.
And I've been your host, Jacob.
Well, hope you all have a lovely time and aren't being too poorly affected by illnesses and whatnot. And also the cat just sneezed on my leg, so that's fun.
Gross. Give him 25 lashes.
Absolutely not. I'm only doing 10. Good night.
But you wrong me, sir. You believe that I would willfully obstruct our progress.
Come now. Why don't you admit you wouldn't lift a finger to speed it?
But that's absurd, sir. Why should I not wish to do my best?
Because you are the sort of self-styled gentleman who thinks only one thought. You feel only one emotion, contempt. Contempt for effort, for ambition, for anyone born less fortunate than yourself. You are poisoned with contempt, Mr. Christian.